So here's the truth about why I only live in apartments. I think a very common question I get is, Charlie, why do you only live in apartments? How come you don't move into a big house or something like that? Now I'll just say that I've been living in apartments since 2012. It's been exactly 10 years, and I actually credit a huge amount of my success to the pros that apartment living gives me. There are so many reasons why apartments like this are better than houses. And yeah, in this video, I'm just gonna go through all the reasons why I still choose to live in apartments. And yeah, this video is not meant to urge you guys to go out there and only live in apartments. Rather, if you live in a big city or a place where the cost of living is really high, then you may feel stuck living inside an apartment. But I'll just tell you guys, there are so many pros. There's so many things you guys can take advantage of being around more people. And yeah, let's get started. So the first big pro of apartment living has got to be the community and the types of people that you can meet. So you guys have seen my channel, you know that I really prioritize networking and selectively choosing your circle of friends. If you want to be an entrepreneur, hang out with entrepreneurs. If you want to be an investor, go hang out with investors. The biggest thing that's come from apartment living, at least for me, has been the friends that I have met. So in 2019, I moved to Costa Mesa and we moved into a pretty nice apartment that I immediately fell in love with. When you are in close proximity to other people that, also do pretty well, it allows you to sort of curate your friends and find people that you really vibe with. So that happened to me. I've met so many inspirational and life-changing friends. And it's really just due to the fact that we all lived in the same apartment. If I lived in a house, there is no way I would have met these people. And yeah, I credit so much of my success in the last few years to the things that I've learned from my friends. For example, I met Carlton and Jeanette in 2020, and immediately Carlton and I really bonded over the fact that, I was doing content, then that he should be doing content. So he immediately started doing that. And now he has one of the biggest tax YouTube channels in the world. And then he was the one that got me really into tax strategy. And now I really prioritize learning about taxes, finding out ways that I can legally reduce my taxes and all that stuff. So yeah, we've just had such a big impact on each other. We've grown so much since we've met each other. And it's these types of friendships that are really possible because you live in close proximity to other people. So what I encourage you guys to do is, if you can afford it, try to live in the best apartment complex you can, move to, and then put a lot of effort into actually going out and trying to meet people. Don't move into an apartment if you're just gonna move there and then not really talk to anyone around you, because that really defeats one of the biggest pros of apartment living, and that is the networking. I can go on and on about all the other people I've met. I've got to hang out with so many successful CEOs and business owners. And yeah, it's just really because I put myself out there to meet new people. And yeah, if you guys are shy, just like me, what you basically need to do is just meet one person, make friends, or invite a friend that's super extroverted over, and then go out to the amenities and then start talking to people. Once you meet one person in your building, it becomes infinitely easier to meet other people. And yeah, that's sort of what happened to me. Carlton was sort of like that gateway person that allowed me to meet everyone else I met in that building. Sorry the mess, we're still moving in, so it's kind of chaotic in here. But the second reason why I think apartment living is better than house living is because of the safety. Now with a house, people can pretty easily find your address these days. They can know exactly where you live, especially if you make content and post it online just like I do. So that's always been sort of like a worry, at least the last few years. And when it comes to apartments, it's a little bit better because people can find out what building you live in, but it's a lot harder for them to find out what exact unit you're in, as well as even get into the apartment building itself, right? So with a house, you are living outside, you have a fence probably, people can go over there, hop the fence, and be in your backyard. And with apartments, it's just much harder, right? A lot of these apartment complexes have security guards. And so not only is it hard to get into the building at night when people are sleeping or whatever, it's also hard to find out which unit that person lives in, as well as break into that door. So yeah, for me, I take a lot of comfort in knowing that I'm a little bit safer in an apartment complex, especially since I live in Southern California, where the crime has gotten kind of out of hand. And the fact that I post a lot of my numbers and things online, people know that I have some money. You're also surrounded by neighbors, so if anything happens, it's pretty likely that someone will actually see something happen and report it. So next up is one that's pretty obvious, but the amenities, okay? So one thing I really value about nice apartment complexes and why I chose to get an office at this particular one is because of all the different cool amenities that they have. So let me show you guys sort of like what we have. Here is a golf simulator. So I actually do take golf lessons here. I have someone come over and we literally do private lessons right here. So really awesome, saves me a lot of time. So over here is another lounge area where we can have people over. We can play games. There's places for board games over there. Over here is a really cool kitchen area and seating area. So a lot of the times we'll have people over here and we'll, eat at that table, or over here, just hang out. So over here we have like a pizza oven. We have 2 gigantic grills. Down that way, there's a Zen garden. There's a seating area to have friends over. So over here we have the pool area. So we have a gigantic pool right here. We have tons and tons of like seating, some tables right here, TVs. You can have cabanas over there that you can use. We have this gigantic hot tub right here, which is super nice to have friends over here because of all the cool things that they offer. Yeah, I really value having nice amenities like this. And the truth is, like, if I lived in a house, having all these things would be nearly impossible, or it'd just be super, super expensive, right? Like, to have all these amenities at a house, you'd probably have to be living in like a $5 to $10 million place here in Southern California. And yeah, just with the economies of scale that apartment complexes offer, they're able to collect rent from a lot of people, have all these shared amenities, and it makes it a lot more affordable to use these, especially if you actually take advantage of them. I know that like probably 90% of people living here don't really use these amenities. And so if you yourself use them, then it's such a good value. And yeah, I'm big on efficiency. So when you have the economies of scale that allows you to have amenities like this for not that much money, I really love that. I also buy a lot of equipment and packages online. So one thing I really love about apartments is that nice ones like this one have a ton of lockers that they actually get delivered to. You just have to enter in the code that you get through a text and then pick it up. So it's a lot safer. This particular complex also has concierge. There's a lot of guest parking. And then when it comes to parking my cars, I actually do like having it behind these gates. And although it's not as good as having a house with your own private garage, it's still better than nothing. So yeah, that's probably one of the main things I wish I could have, is a personal garage, but that'll just have to wait until I move somewhere else. Another thing I take really seriously is the location of where I live. So in particular, when I look for apartments, I need to make sure that the apartment is in a place with a lot of stuff. So that's one big reason why I love living in this area. It's the best location that I've ever lived, and that's just because we are so close to tons and tons of restaurants. We're close to Mastro's, we're close to South Coast Plaza. Really, it's an amazing place. And I'll say that for most homes, it's much harder to be very central, to be close to a lot of different things. And yeah, that's one big reason why I like apartments. It's because if you pick the right one, it becomes more affordable to live in these more desirable areas that are close to a lot of things. And for me, I hate driving. I don't really like to have to travel far to get to things. And that's a big reason why I save a lot of time, as well as be able to get to eat at so many great restaurants. So I know this doesn't apply to every single apartment complex, or doesn't apply to every single house being farther away. But in my experience, in general, the apartment complexes that I choose to live in always tend to be in really great places close to many different things. Another rebuttal I get all the time is like, Charlie, don't you want to live in a house? Since there's going to be way more space, you'll have your own backyard, yada, 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 right? And yes, that is a big plus of living in a house. You do get a lot more room. You do get a backyard, maybe a front yard. And yeah, that's something I do wish I had, especially since I do have a dog. However, what I'll say is that you don't need more space to be happy. I'm perfectly content in the 1,200 square foot apartment that I currently live in, as well as this office space that I rented out, which happens to be in another apartment complex, but more on that later. Yeah, I think a lot of people get caught up in square footage and needing more and more space, but having that much space is more expensive to fill up with furniture. There's more cleaning you have to do. Sometimes it can get kind of creepy, like if you're just by yourself and you have a huge 5,000 square foot house. I would prefer to have a very comfy, smaller apartment. And I find that for my needs, an apartment that's between 1,000 to 1,500 square feet really is a perfect amount of space. Now, as an entrepreneur, I really prioritize my time. I try and only do things that help grow my business, or things that I really want to do to enjoy my life. And maintenance on homes is not one of those. So with homes, there's so many different things that can break. I'm still a real estate broker, and I do have some experience in the real estate industry. And one thing that's for certain is that if you buy a house, there is going to be maintenance, right? You're gonna have to fix things that break. You'll need a new roof after a while. You'll need to replace the windows sometimes, whatever. With apartments, I spend literally 0 hours per month on maintenance. All I have to do is, if something breaks, call the maintenance people or send them a message, and they'll come out and fix it themselves. I don't need to go out and buy the things. I don't need to try installing it myself or hiring a handyman. All that takes a lot of time as well as mental effort, and I would rather use that effort as well as money on building my own business. So for example, if this Nest thermostat breaks, I don't need to go out and buy a new one. I'll just call them up, they'll bring a new one, and they'll install it. If the fridge breaks, then I'll just call them up, they'll take it out themselves, put in a new one, I won't have to do anything else. And also relieves a lot of stress knowing that, if things break, I'm not gonna be personally responsible for them and they'll get taken care of due to the fact that I live in a complex like this. So next is the flexibility. And it really boils down to this concept of I like to rent where I live and then own what I rent out. So instead of buying a primary residence, buying a big house for myself that costs a lot to upkeep, I'd rather live in apartment complexes like this, spend less money on rent, and be able to be more flexible with where I live, right? So with these leases, they are typically 1 year. And what I really like about that is that I can sort of get up and move if I want to, right? After a year, if I don't like this area, I can just choose to find another apartment complex in a different state or a different city. And I really, really value that flexibility, especially since I am still on the younger side and I don't really want to settle down right now. Yes, with homes, you can rent them, but they are much bigger normally. They're harder to move in and out of. And especially if you're buying a house, you're getting a 30-year mortgage, you're really tying yourself down to that specific location. So yeah, if you're buying a house, you better love that area. You better be trying to stay in that area for at least a few years for it to make sense. So for me, the ability of being able to choose where I live and being like, okay, I want to try something new, I want to move somewhere else, that flexibility is extremely important. And that's one huge pro of apartments like this. And then finally, you guys, you know me, I am relatively frugal, and if I can, I prefer not to spend as much money where I live. So in general, houses are going to be bigger, right? They cost more to upkeep, but they also cost more to either rent or buy. With apartments, like I said earlier, we have the economies of scale. Generally, apartments are going to be less per square foot than homes. And yeah, when you have that, it makes your cash flow a lot better, right? You don't need to invest a significant amount of your paycheck or your income into where you live. I'd rather take that money, not put it into where I live, and put that into my business, hiring a team, doing fun activities that I can make memories from. And so yeah, I know a lot of you guys watching this video are probably living in apartments because it is cheaper. And I'll just say that that's extremely smart. I don't think a majority of your money should go into your home. I think a lot of people get lifestyle inflation as they start to make more money. They try and funnel more money into where they live. But no, as long as you're happy with a smaller place, without having a garage or without having a backyard, you can save so much money per year by just living in apartments and then use that money to invest in either assets or building your own business. That to me is the best way to spend your money, the best ROI you're gonna get. But yeah, it just really comes down to priorities. So of course, everyone's priorities are gonna be a little bit different. Everyone's preferences are going to be different. So not everything I say in this video is going to probably apply to you. So just know that it's okay if you disagree with some of the things that I'm saying. So that's pretty much why I only live in apartments. I hope this video sort of shed some light into my reasoning behind, choosing to live in apartments. It's okay to stay living in apartments, and it's really just about what you make out of it. So I know that everything I talked about in this video is something that, I really value. And by seeing the advantages of each of these things, it's really extended my timeline of, continuing to live in places like this. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. I make a ton of videos about personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship. Oh, and if you guys want to get some free stocks, I'm gonna leave links down below to Webull and Moomoo. They're giving out a ton of free stocks right now, so I definitely encourage you guys to take advantage of that. I also encourage you guys to sign up for Hustle Club, which is my free entrepreneurial newsletter. It goes out once a week, and it just teaches you how to become a better entrepreneur in 3 minutes or less. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.